This is my fourth video of a series in which I analyze in depth all the different aspects of the Mavic Mini. If you're interested in other ones, I will post a link to the playlist with all the previous videos at the end of this one. In this flight review, I will analyze how this tiny bird behaves while flying. Battery time, noise level, different modes, stability of the gimbal, and so on. In the second part I explain why a good deal of caution is needed with this drone. If you're interested in the Mini, or more generally in drones, I will definitely suggest to subscribe to my channel, the home of fearless drone heroes. I tested the flight time, having the Mini hovering in a place sheltered by the wind. It stayed up in the air for 27 minutes, which is an excellent result. You can probably do a little better when flying at moderate speed, as when hovering, the bird uses some extra power to stabilize. On DJI Fly, at the top right of the screen, we have info about the number of satellites, signal strength, battery levels, and remaining battery time. When the baby takes off, the remaining time indicator tries to guess the remaining flight time. In this case it starts with 30 minutes, probably assuming that we will be flying forward at moderate speed without wind. But even though the battery time is excellent, I would still strongly recommend purchasing the Fly More combo with the additional batteries and the hub charger, as the recharging time of each battery is long, a bit over 3 hours. So if you have only one battery and bring along a power bank to recharge it, it will take just too long. I also tested the noise level. The Mini is much quieter than any other drone I tried, and has a pleasant high pitch. When it is at the distance of about 50 meters, approximately 150 feet, I cannot hear it at all. This is really good for footage of wildlife and in general for more discretion. Here I compare it with the noise level of the Mavic 2 at the same distance and under the same conditions. On the top left part of DJI Fly, we can toggle between the three different flight modes. Position mode is the default one, the one used the most for footage. In this mode, the maximum speed is about 8 meters per second when flying forward or backwards, and 2 meters per second flying upwards. In sport mode, the Mini is faster, it goes up to 12 and 4 meters per second. This mode is generally not used for video, unless to quickly reach or come back from the desired destination. But please note that the Mini is not the kind of drone you want to get too far from you. We will see why later in this video. CineSmooth or cinematic mode is slower, respectively 4 and 1.5 meters per second. This mode is particularly useful while flying in confined space or indoor, but it gives nice and smooth results in all sorts of footage. Remember that in post-processing it is always possible to speed up video, but not the opposite. The Mini is quite snappy and responds well to the controller, even with moderate wind. Look how stable it is when hovering. The 3-axis gimbal is really excellent. The horizon is constantly straight, and there are hardly any unwanted rotations during a video clip. The tilting up and down of the gimbal using the wheel in the commander is quite smooth and can be further adjusted in the settings. It is also possible to choose an extra 20-degree tilt up of the gimbal on top of the default 0 to 90, which is useful, and so far I never had the propellers showing up in my footage. I really miss the two buttons C1 and C2 underneath the remote controller, like in other DJI models, as I find the option to toggle between gimbal down and up with a simple touch a big time saver. One thing that I really find annoying is the yaw, the horizontal panning of the gimbal. It is very abrupt and it's not possible to adjust it in the settings. It certainly gets smoother in cinematic mode, but in most cases you want to be able to fly at a certain speed and still maintain control of view. In other DJI models there are several intelligent flight modes allowing an excellent control of the flight. But the Mini lacks any kind of it. It has only a few quick shots, which I will analyze in a further video. So we will be flying it manually most of the time. Third-party apps offering excellent intelligent flight modes like Lishi are not currently available on the Mini, but DJI has announced that they plan to make their software development kit available to third-party app developers very soon. Good. Due to its size and to the lack of obstacle avoidance, the Mini is the ideal drone for flying in restricted space and even indoor. In this situation, the propeller cage supplied with the Fly More kit is very useful to avoid damages, but sadly I have not been able to find one kit available yet where I live. There is also an option for setting the gimbal in FPV mode instead of the default follow mode. In FVP, one of the axes is locked and the gimbal will not maintain its horizontal position, but will follow the movement of the bird when it changes direction. Can be used to give the impression of being on board of a small aircraft, but frankly I would not use it too often. So far I've been very surprised in a positive way by the performance of the Mini. Fantastic video quality, excellent gimbal, good maneuverability, incredibly small size. But flight safety is certainly not a strong point in this drone. DJI managed to keep the weight of the Mini below the important limit of 250 grams, and this is a great achievement. But in order to do that, they had to shave grams wherever possible. The Mini is the first DJI drone since 2015 without any kind of obstacle avoidance. Most drone users rely heavily on detection of obstacles, so in the first few flights I recommend to practice a bit. Maybe also fly in confined space using the propeller cage supplied with the Fly More kit, just to get used to the lack of sensor and avoid what happened to me. I must admit that in the past, the obstacle avoidance has saved my drones on several occasions. With the Mini, it's particularly important to fly within line of sight, and being so small, the line of sight is obviously shorter than usual. It is also critical to set the correct height for return to home, and to carefully analyze the area where we intend to fly, and detect tall buildings, trees, and especially power lines. The Mini is relatively stable in moderate wind, although due to its size I would not venture in any sort of strong wind, as I do with the Mavic 2. When flying against the wind, this bird might struggle to advance, so extra caution is needed when getting farther from the home point with a trailing wind, as the time needed to return home might be much longer than expected and we risk to run out of battery. In this situation, it might be useful to use sport mode to get some extra flying power. The feature where I found the biggest issues is the transmission of signal between the aircraft and the remote controller. I'm used to the sensational OcuSync in the Mavic 2 and I have never experienced any sort of issue with it. In the Mini the signal is transmitted by Wi-Fi, although an improved version called Enhanced Wi-Fi. My experience with it has so far been horrible. But please take it with a pinch of salt, as my unit could be faulty. I've read plenty of reports about it on the internet and some users don't report any issues, while several others complain of very poor signal. Without any doubt, the Wi-Fi transmission is strongly affected by interference, so it should perform better far away from urban areas. In the last couple of weeks I've been confined at home because of coronavirus, so I've not been able to test the Mini in all sorts of different scenarios, as we usually do. I apologize for that, and I don't really know how long this situation is going to last. Finger crossed. The area where I am is not particularly urban, it is a tiny village with some small isolated residential areas, but mostly open green spaces. It should be an area with relatively low interferences. As you can see from the screen recordings, I have experienced issues of all sorts. In most cases the image I receive is extremely pixelated and warped, with a huge latency. Very hard to shoot footage under these conditions. Very often I lose the signal and get a message to move the antennas, but changing the orientation doesn't solve the problem. And in most cases I end up with a complete disconnection and a return to home. Well, I really hope the transmission can be improved with upcoming firmware upgrades. I would be interested to know your experience about signal transmission with the Mavic Mini in the comments below. Please, don't get me wrong, I don't want to bash the Mavic Mini at all. I find this drone surprisingly good for a lot of things, especially video quality. In this field technology goes very fast, and when a new model comes to the market, quite often there are a couple of features that need adjusting. Also, as I said, I might have a faulty unit. Thank you for watching this far. If you liked this video, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. There are still plenty of new videos about the Mavic Mini to come in following weeks. If you want to watch some previous ones, follow the link above to the Mini playlist. Bye for now and fly safe.